that's hard. Maybe like Confessions by Usher or 8701 by Usher. It's got to be one of those two. I always say that that was the first album that like exposed me to how to run, how to riff. I never had any idea what I was singing, but I was singing like I was heartbroken. I was like 4 years old, so it's got to be that one. That has to be the like my earliest memories of playing an album top to bottom. It's got to be one of those two. In the car with my parents. I'm a 90s baby. My parents were pretty young parents. They were in high school and college in the 90s, so there was no kids bop happening in my household or in my car. My parents were slapping. Am I allowed to curse in this interview? I was about to say real Bay Area shit. They were slapping, they were whipping like some real pedestrians, and I was singing full out. Again, maybe toddler age, talking about you don't have to call, it's okay, girl. I didn't know what I was talking about, but definitely my parents exposed me to all the hip hop and R&B that I feel like are the biggest parts of my influence came from my parents. I like to joke that I grew up like yearning for the club, yearning for MTV Spring Break. Like I was like, I'm gonna be just like my parents go clubbing. I'm gonna be in the club. Like back when they were dressing low-key business casual in the club, you know, I thought that was gonna be my destiny. It was not. But at the time I was like, I'm so cool. Like my parents are cool and I'm copying them. And by the time I get to the age where I can go clubbing, like I'm gonna be with it. That did not happen. Instead, we got like COVID and social distancing and social anxiety, but it's fine. We still have good music taste. So. Of course, I got to start with my name. I'm Tyler Lauren. I identify as a real Bay girl, Bay Area through and through. I take it as a compliment when I travel other places and they immediately could tell that I'm a Bay girl. I'm an artist, but I like to call myself kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I got my degree in acting and theater. I'm a huge hoop fan, one of the most competitive people you'll ever meet in your life. Occasionally like to, you know, put belt to ass with grown men online when I'm playing 2K or Madden, all of the above. But to my friends and family, I'm just, you know, Tyler or Ty, and I make music, I make silly little songs. So yeah, that's me. On my mom's side, we're Filipino, and the stereotype is very true. That is the one stereotype I will stand by all day long. Karaoke. They were really pimping us out at every family function. We had to perform for older cousins, aunties, uncles, all of the above. And on my dad's side, my dad's family is a Black Southern family who grew up in the church, in the Baptist church. So we have singers all through the family who, like, if they wanted to, could have easily gotten record deals. It skipped over both of my parents, but I got some recessive genes apparently. So it's really just in my blood. I think it would have been harder to avoid falling in love with music. The family influences, it helped me I didn't really have to look places to develop my artistry. I got a real sense of artistry, not so much being like cosplay or, you know, some people do like to perform as some sort of character or caricature, or otherwise like a persona that is at least a little bit distanced from who they are authentically, which I totally respect. I have a lot of favorite artists who do that sort of thing. Me personally, my like brand, I guess you could say, is like literally exactly who I am in front of my family and friends. So I think having those influences like in my genetics really like helped me to understand that me just showing up as myself and singing and making music that I would want to listen to is more than enough. And it also, my parents have really good work ethic. So I also understood that even though I'm just coming as I am, there's always work to be done and I can always hone my craft further. So yeah, it just helped me to not so much look outside myself, but just kind of be like, I have everything I need in-house. Yeah. I just kind of mentioned it, but my sound and style, I think in the first like year or two of recording my own music, I was really trying to kind of put myself in a box that I felt like other people were putting me in, very like Bay Area R&B and that only, and just trying to get really good at that. And I was like, I listen to all types of music. Why not make all the types of music that I want to make? And I hear people all the time, like I have plenty of friends who all probably would say like, I have really diverse music taste. And so instead of, you know, crafting a playlist full of different artists in their respective genres, I thought like, why don't I embody all of the genres that I like to listen to? So it started off as R&B, but I do have a lot of influence with like 90s hip hop, 90s R&B, 2000s R&B. My grandparents put me on a lot of jazz and swing. Again, I went to school for theater, so lots of musical theater influences. That influences a lot of how I write songs. And then just last year, I put out my first rock song, which by the way, I think we need to bring back Black rock. I think that's kind of getting lost in the sauce, but that really is our music. And I think I was shying away from it for a while, and I was like, wait a minute, I like rock music, just a certain lane. So yeah, I just put out a song last fall. That was my first rock song. But yeah, I would just say sound-wise and creatively, I just don't like to limit what I do. And everything is just about what I listen to this. If I didn't know me, if I was just a random artist on like a Discover Weekly kind of playlist on Spotify, would I listen to this? Would I listen to my music? So that's kind of like what keeps me going. Ooh, what was I chasing when I first started creating? When I was little, I was totally the girl that was in my room, like learning Cheetah Girls choreo. For sure. I'm a Galleria stan. She was a victim. But anyways, I don't think I was like, when I was little, I was very much like, I want to be this kind of R&B diva or whatever. Now I'm realizing like there have been a couple times where, whether it was due to lack of resources or a few years ago, I had a vocal injury and I couldn't sing for like 5 months, and that was crazy, changed my whole perspective. And in those kind of times in my life, I'm realizing now that like, it's way less about chasing the like status of anything. Like that is so not like why I do it. I really feel like artists and creatives, like we are artists because we feel like we have to make art. Like we just have to, there's no other choice. It's not about streams or follows or whatever. That's why you could never get me to turn down an artist that wants to work with me who has like 50 followers. If they got it, they got it. But yeah, I think before as a kid, I was chasing kind of like certain dreams and stuff or status. And now I'm just like, I just want to make good art, like, cause I feel like I have to. Yeah. Oh, I've always needed it. I just didn't know it was something I needed until maybe like high school. My mom was the one who actually pointed out to me like that whenever I'm stressed or I'm exposed to like maybe a emotionally charged kind of environment or something like that. This is before I knew what overstimmed meant, okay? But basically in those situations, I'd always find myself at one of my instruments or writing. And I was not putting that pattern together at all. So my mom was the one who actually mentioned it to me one day when I was playing piano after something that I'm sure overstimmed me. And she was like, are you stressed? And I was like, actually, yeah. And she's like, yeah, because you usually like go to the piano when you're feeling like that, I've noticed. And I was like, oh, I guess so. And now looking back, I have home videos that I'm playing piano or making beats or whatever since I'm like 3 or 4. And almost every time that it's captured, it's like me trying to self-soothe. So I would argue I've always needed it. I just wasn't aware of that until I was like a teenager. Yeah. Ooh. I would say 2 things. The first thing is I really identify as a writer, which is why I'm trying to get way more into songwriting for other people and expand my clientele that way. But I like to put a lot of Easter eggs in my writing. I like to take from a lot of influences that a lot of people know, but unless you sit down and you read along to some of my songs, like there's no way you'd catch them. I have really good friends of mine who have produced songs for me who have their lyrics on their phone before the song ever dropped. And it's like a year after the song is dropped, and I have to fully explain to them, like, did you catch this double meaning here? And they're like, oh my God, I didn't even catch that. So I think, and again, along with what I said a couple questions ago, I do that because I think it's fun. I just slapped this microphone so hard. I do that because I think it's fun, because I enjoy doing that, not because I need people to catch it. It's great if they do. But I would just say, I don't know if that's like, if people misunderstand that, but I don't think people catch how significant lyrics are in my music. And then the other thing is, I would say a lot of people, especially when they get to know me, like I'm a very unserious person. I'm always doing a bit, or like I'm always being sarcastic. I just have like a deadpan face, but like it's always a joke. But a lot of my songs are like real lover girl yearner songs. And that's because I grew up on, Boys to Men in the desert in white button-down shirts, ripping them open, like talking about yearning for a girl. So it's that influence, but it's also like, yes, I'm a very like unserious person, but I feel like my music and my writing is where I funnel all the other emotions and stuff that maybe I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with this all day, every day. I sit down and I write it and I put it in a song instead. So when people meet me, they're like, I thought you were going to be way more of an emo girl. I'm like, that's what the songs are for. And in between my heartbreak and love songs on stage, as you'll see, as hopefully everyone will see when they come to the show, I can't stop yapping. Like physically cannot stop doing a bit. So I think that's something that people don't know about me until they meet me. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is jazz, right? Yeah, okay. Okay. We love Miles Davis. We love Miles Davis. I saw some other stuff in here too. With jazz and swing, I'm all over the place. I just love everything. I can't pick. Also, I'm a Libra, so that's another reason I can't pick. We're indecisive, but jazz and swing in general, especially instrumental jazz, of course, as a vocalist, like vocal jazz is extra near and dear to my heart, but like there are just so many of these that you can really learn how to run and how to use your voice and vocal agility with listening to these, and this is a lot of what I did growing up, especially spending time with my grandparents when my parents were at work and they couldn't afford childcare, and so childcare was my grandparents. Lots of jazz. Mingus. This is a really scary cover, but we love Charles Mingus. Okay, so we're gonna ignore her. I would also say I can be in this section all day. Let's stop.
So let's go back to the Miles Davis one.
Okay.
We'll go to the Miles, then we'll go to Charles.
Where'd you go, Miles? Miles. Oh, wait. There you go.
Show that one to the camera.
Miles Davis, Decoy.
So tell us about why you grabbed that one out.
Miles Davis, I just feel like all Miles Davis stuff, I always have a reaction, like it makes me think a lot, and not to like be an annoying musician and be like, it's contemplative, but it like low-key, it is. I've used many a Miles Davis song on my Instagram, on some carousel posts, in hopes that I put some 20-somethings onto the greatness, oh, it's upside down. Yeah, like What It Is on side 2 here. On side 1, Freaky Deaky, like so good. I can't say enough. Not to this one specifically. I listened to a lot of Miles Davis last year, especially. I think I've developed relationships with different records, especially jazz, especially instrumental jazz, in times of like in grief periods in my life. Again, because it makes you think without it being too chaotic in your brain. It's still soothing, it's still calming, but it feels like it's creating an atmosphere to kind of process some heavy emotions. And for someone who can tend to be avoidant like myself, Miles Davis really does the job.
What mood does Miles Davis put you in?
Oh, it depends. I would say sometimes I wouldn't say it puts me in a melancholy mood, but if you're already feeling that way, it has this way of making you feel like, oh, this is a shared experience. I really don't know how else to put it. Really, like listening to Miles Davis makes you feel like whether or not he felt the same way when he was, you know, arranging things or whatever. It feels like with certain pieces, especially like some of the ones I listened to a lot last year, like that was the state he was in when creating. And so it feels like, okay, I'm not alone in this kind of. So that's really cool. Music's crazy.
What do you appreciate about Miles Davis' sound?
Doesn't do too much. He does not do too much. Coco Chanel said something about like, before you leave the house, take like an accessory off, or maybe like 3. It was something like that. Don't quote me, but it was something to that sentiment, because it's like we have a tendency to do too much and to fill too much space. There's just enough open space in Miles Davis music. And I think especially like in this day and age where there's streaming, there's social media, there's a lot of pressure to showcase in a really condensed amount of time, but you're able to see his genius without him doing too much, without him having to like go crazy. And there's a lot that you can put from your own mind, from your own brain, into all the open space that he leaves. Ooh. Aretha. When Aretha died, my friends called me. It was that serious. They were like, are you okay? This is a welfare check. That's how serious this is. Also, this is a live album. People don't blow like Aretha no more. That's not true. We do still have some really talented vocalists, but Aretha. And she was like playing keys while singing live, like into the last decade of her life. Like I just played keys for the first time in my own set, I think in November. And it's usually because I'd rather not play an instrument, even though I play like 4 instruments. I'd rather not play and sing if I feel like it's going to compromise the vocals. It was never compromised with her, like ever, and so much power. This says she had her last encore on this album with Ray Charles. Let's see what the tracks are. Side 1, obviously, starting out with Respect. But I would say my sleeper pick here is her version of Bridge Over Troubled Water. That song will make my air sign self cry on the spot. But yeah, I learned a lot of vocal stuff from Aretha. So.
How did she influence your sound?
She sings with so much emotion. And she does runs and stuff too, crazy runs, but sometimes she'll just sing straight out. Sometimes it's almost not fully 100% clean the way she'll hit certain notes, but you can hear the emotion in that. And when I was younger, again, I grew up singing in front of my family and everything. And my mom and my grandmother would always tell me, like, you're hitting all the right notes, your pitch is great, but the next step for you is gonna be to connect emotionally. That's the only thing. You're just singing, you're just hitting the notes, but we're not feeling anything emotionally. You have to connect. And they were like, that'll come with time, like life experiences. And I'm like, girl, I'm 10, I don't know what you're talking about. Aretha, masterclass in that. Like this woman, masterclass. I would say her and Patty. I think I saw some Patty in here earlier, but I would say the two of them. I don't know if I'll find it fast enough. But just for the viewers, just so you know, Patty as well. Patty and Aretha, masterclass in singing with emotion and not compromising the art. I wanted to come over here.
We'll get another one of you with one more, and then we'll move to the next piece.
Okay. This, I would say there are other musicals that tell the story of who I am better, but out of the ones that we have here, Merrily We Roll Along, Stephen Sondheim. Stephen Sondheim is 100% worth the hype, and that's the hill I'll die on. Pure genius. The way that he wrote music and lyrics. There's a reason why you are instructed to not bring a Sondheim piece to an audition, because it's low-key a nightmare for the accompanist to play. But this musical, they actually just revived it on Broadway a couple years ago. This musical is about some friends they're dreamers in the sense of they want to write Broadway shows and write Broadway music and show tunes, and it's their process of their friendship and their rise to fame and all of that. So there's a lot of the behind the scenes on like how writing and artistry and making music, how that goes about. So, and it's Sondheim, like I said, and I'm a Sondheim stan. So I would say this is a sleeper pick for me because people don't really know I'm a real theater kid like that. So Merrily We Roll Along, Stephen Sondheim, final pick.
All right.
If they listen to these three in order, obviously I picked all three because love all these artists. But I love when music tells a story of like the evolution of like a relationship or something. My debut EP, I kind of did the same thing. So I put the OJ's record first. The OJ's are some real yearners. Lots of lovey-dovey, obsessed with their girl type music. So for me, this feels like the falling in love, honeymoon phase. Of course, there are a couple that are more to round out the track list that are a little bit more heartbreak, but I feel like the overall energy of this is more the beginning stages of a relationship. Natalie Cole. Love Natalie, love her dad. This feels like more complicated after the honeymoon phase, more complex feelings. And then on Patty's record, I feel like with this record specifically, there are some love songs to round out the track list, but it feels more like, it depends on how the listener interprets it. It could be more like breakup, liberation kind of energy, or it could just be like a more, maybe not so much your high school sweetheart, but that's a grown-up relationship, you know? So I don't know, this feels like an evolution of like learning how to be in relationships, and like honeymoon phase to like, I'm an evolved lover girl now, and I'm on my grown woman shit. That's what I get from it. So I guess that's how I'd answer the question. I don't know.
Why are record shops?
Because I feel like if you really are trying to get as close to the artists, their mentality when creating, you play the physical copy. I feel like while I love streaming for what it is and the way that it provides access to people in places that maybe we didn't have access to back in the day, I can appreciate those parts of it. You lose some of the, I don't know, I'd argue you lose some of the integrity of the original work. Also, not to get super nerdy, but the sensory aspect of playing physical music also adds to the experience. And I think we kind of lose that. It's just like, imagine like back in the day, you're mad at someone and you're like, I'm gonna hang up the phone. You slam the landline down. What do you do now? smash your phone screen? Like, what is that? You know, like this is, to me, this is the full picture. Streams, it gives a boneless listening experience. Quote me on it, put it on a t-shirt. Sorry. I post all announcements and stuff like that on my social media, which is on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Tyler Lauren, 3 A's in Lauren. So it's TYLER LAAAUREN. But I'm on all streaming platforms wherever you listen to your music, just under Tyler Lauren. But also I have music videos and live performance stuff all on my YouTube. Again, you can just search my name, Tyler Lauren. So yeah, wherever you listen to your music, you could totally find me there. Hey guys, it's Tyler Lauren. I'll be at the Empress Theater in Vallejo, California on May 9th for the Fourth Space event. Come and pop out, see a couple of real Vallejo girl headliners if you're free. If you're not free, you need to make yourself free. And like I always say, if you've seen any of my announcements before or seen me at any of my shows, be me there, don't meet me there. Shout out Mars Records. I just got put on game. I didn't know this was in here. This is a gem in Oakland, California. So if you're in the market for some really good physical copies of music, they got cassettes, CDs, records, all of that stuff. Come on down to Mars Records, support local, and get back into physical music, people. Shout out Idu House and stay tuned for more coming.